Be ready to CC soon. Slow on ours, Tara.
Alright,
I'll switch. You stay. Oh fuck! Purple just died.
Okay, everyone stop on the other two, and we're just all gonna swap over the purple real quick.
Yeah, full out stop on. Oh fuck!
Yep,
It's got
yep,
way
yep,
too many
yep.
dots. Someone's blowing up green. Yo, what's going on, everyone? So this is a 27 Atal'Dazar on Tyrannical, Incorporeal, and Spiteful week. So with it being Tyrannical, we're going to start things off by going straight down to Razan. We're going to skip the first Sard pack and go to the second one. You notice I'll target Razan, and I'll just kind of spinning crane kick and then cheat torpedo or roll myself off the edge into Razan. And ideally here, I would get a keg smash on these Sards. I don't do this, and you can tell that my warrior kind of gets blown up a little bit. So learn from my mistake here. Make sure you hit the Sards with at least a keg smash, because spinning crane kick, definitely not enough to get it done. So things to watch out for on this boss. The bleed, especially on Razan, is kind of the most deadly thing here. You definitely want to make sure that you have a dampen harm, a defensive of some sort, whether it's Fort Brew, if you use the Farok trinket, the Rage Heart trinket, or if you are a dwarf or Dark Iron dwarf, you can choose to just remove the bleed with the dwarf racial. I would definitely, again, recommend using some type of defensive and have an overlap of like a Cell Brew with it. One thing to be careful of is to make sure that you're communicating with people in your group. So if you have hunters, mages, anyone that's a night elf that can, drop aggro if they get chosen by the run, that's going to immediately cause Razan to stop what he's doing and go back to attacking you as if he had just finished the chase. So that means normally a lot of times that you won't have a chance to get your cooldowns back up where you need it. So generally I'll communicate with my team, and if we have one of our warriors or our enhanced shaman get picked by Razan, our warrior will use his night elf ability to just meld off Razan. One of the things most people don't know is that you don't actually have to be the target of Razan. If anyone in the group melds, it will actually cause him to stop chasing, which is something we found out. So we choose to do that then, and if that's going to happen, just make sure you clear the next bleed that comes as soon as you get it, because generally you're not going to have a Cell Brew up for that. But as you can see here, we're just dealing with this boss. We did use Lust at the beginning. You want to make sure that you point the boss away from the rest of the group, because he does tail swipe, and that kind of knocks people back, and that can knock them into, the purple puddles, spawning more ads. And then obviously when he's about to do his Terrifying Visage, that's his AoE ability where he fears anyone who's in line of sight. Just make sure that you get around the corner. So you can see we generally just tank him right on this edge of this little ramp thing that's going on here. And then every time that we have someone picked by Razan, you can see we just go from one of these little ramp pillar things, whatever you want to call them, to the other, and we just have them go. So our hunter could feign death, but because she's playing BM, we just choose to have her run, because it just gives us full uptime and allows me to get my defensive cooldowns back up, so that I'm not getting destroyed by the bleed. If for whatever reason you do get into a situation where you don't have a defensive for the bleed, like in my group, we've got an enhanced shaman. He can drop down his stone skin totem that helps with bleeds. We have a warrior who can rally. We've got a priest that can give me guardian spirit. So just be ready to call for what you might need in your group if you're doing that. So as soon as this boss is dead, we're going to go ahead and move on up, and we're going to head towards the side that has the priestess on it, because that side has a few less pulls and less AoE damage to deal with. Now these Sards, we have tried pulling these Sards up before with them, and we ended up wasting more time trying to drag them up because of them jumping around. So we just went ahead and killed them. We have tried to pulling both Sard groups into Razan, but we had some deaths happen due to the Sard jumps, just being unlucky picking multiple people at the same time. So we just don't do that. So we just kill that Sard pack, and then we just move up here. Now, one of the things that you can do if you are a monk is when you come in here, well, first of all, when you come in here, you need 2 melee kicks on the Confessor, and then you need the other people to be kicking the augur, and you do want the augur to be your main kill target. It's the one that's going to do the most damage, especially if it gets that fiery enchant going off, and it does a lot of things. But as a monk, if you have your white tiger statue, you can drop it like I just rolled out and then dropped it and told my range to come in. As long as everyone stacks together, you can see our hunter's not really stacked together, which is going to cause an issue here in a second. But as long as everyone's stacked together, the Juggernauts will charge to that white tiger statue, even though it's not normally attackable. But again, everyone does have to be stacked together. If anyone is even like 3 yards apart, it will charge that person, and then the AoE is larger than 3 yards and it'll hit everyone, which is what you kind of saw happening there. So ideally, you get the totem down, drop it where that first pack of 3 is, and hit a cake smash and then roll in here. Mine unfortunately wasn't up in time, so we kind of had to have them out and then come back in. Now for this next pull, we're going to pull just the left side here, which is a Confessor, a Juggernaut, and an Augur. Same idea here. Make sure that we've got 2 melee kicks on the Confessor, and then our other kicks and a stun on the Augur. Honestly, you just want to kick the regular cast, and then any kind of stop works on the Augur's fire enchant. And then anytime that you can stop the Juggernauts from running, you want to ideally have, if you have multiple range, have them spread. You can see our Hunter and Priest are spread over there. But you can also, when they do their hard cast, which is them about to charge, you can stun those, paralyze those. Then you can use Ring on the person it's about to hit, and that will stop them from hitting that person, because the Juggernauts do a lot of damage. You can see this is a Tyrannical, and as a 27, it's still doing more than half their health. So if they're below half or even just a little hurt, and that charge goes out, it's gonna definitely kill some people. So what we're doing now is we're finishing off this mob, and then we have Spiteful because it's Spiteful week. So we do want to kill this Spiteful because otherwise it's going to run through this group over here. But once the Spiteful's down, what we're going to do is we're going to just go on the left of this pack that's on the right, don't pull that one, and we're going to come over here. And now my statue is about to be up, so you're going to notice that I do the same thing where I pull the group, I tell them to hang back a second, I'm going to roll forward, drop my statue, and then I'm going to come back in and tell everyone to stack together, and this is going to make it so that the Juggernauts charge the statue. Again, here, 2 melee kicks on the Confessor. Make sure that you're getting down the Augur first, then the Confessor, then the Juggernauts, and then just make sure anytime that a mob dies, the bigger, like, elite mob here is going to get a buff any single time that something dies. So that buff can just be dispelled through normal dispelling means, through offensive dispels. One thing to note is that its targeted ability does do quite a bit of damage, so if you are someone who can stop it through Feigned Death, Invis, Night Elfing, it is ideal. Otherwise, people in your group will want to use a defensive on that. But it is still the lowest priority, even though it does have like a good chunk of health there. But you can see we're just going to keep on pulling up and leave that big statue up until it just dies. I pull the next Augur and Juggernaut, and then I do pull one of these priests together, and we just kind of deal with this. And then we're going to set up for a very large pull on the next pack. But again, here, just taking care of the Augur. Here, now that there's not a Confessor in this pack, it is a little bit easier, so you can, time the Juggernaut stuns and stuff like that to make sure it's not going out, or at least have like maybe one person who is ready to kick so it doesn't get the enrage off. Luckily, we have a Hunter, so it's able to just soothe the enrage off. But one thing to watch out for with this Priestess is that I've noticed that when it's about to do its like cast where it heals off of you, it'll look like it's targeting you, and then sometimes it'll just pick a different target. Like right there, it was definitely picking me, but then it went on the priest. So I'm super confused about that. But you can just stop the channel by, paralyzing, leg sweeping, ring appeasing, things like that. But we're trying to hold those things so that we have them available, 1 for the Incorporeal, and 2 also to deal with the next pack where we've got the Augur, the Juggernaut, and all these other adds. So, now going to this next pack, once again, we are going to pull all the rest of this together, main target obviously being Augur, secondary target being the Juggernaut. So, here I could have put down my statue on the outside. I didn't actually think about it, and I wanted to really kind of use it for damage because this is a bigger pull. So, that's what we did there. Notice the Augur just melts. We want to destroy that super fast. It is okay to use your cooldowns here because the next boss kind of kills itself. So normally you're only going to get 3 channels and then it'll be dead. So it's not a big deal if you need to pop cooldowns here, especially with this being a big pack. So once all of this is done, what we normally do for this next boss is we start up on the steps and we kill the first ad that spawns. By doing this, it makes it so that we don't have to worry. Like, obviously, we get it killed. We can use ring or stuns to keep it close. And then we come down the stairs, and we'll come down to the middle area to take care of the blood that's in here. And that means that the next ad that spawns, we are going to Hunter Trap. And then the third ad that spawns, I'm going to Paralyze. Now, because we're using Hunter Trap and Paralyze, and it's Incorporeal week, that means that our Shaman is going to have to be hexing, and our Priest is they're going to need to Mind Control or Shackle Undead on the Incorporeal so that, you know, that doesn't go off and kill us during it. But that's what we're doing here. Now, it's kind of awkward because this boss is one of the bosses that's like, it does kind of kill itself when it's about to do this channel. I will say this channel does do a lot of damage, so we actually group up for AoE healing. I also have the ability that makes us take less AoE damage, although I'm not sure this ability actually counts as AoE healing. And we rotate using defensives. We rotate the next time using AG, and then the time after that we use our Rallying Cry. But now you're noticing we're staying down up at the top of the screen. You can say our Hunter has trapped the next ad, and we're just going to chill down here. We are going to pop Lust, even though, like I said, this boss kind of kills itself. But with it being Tyrannical week, we want to use Lust now so that we have it up for the very last boss. If it's like a fortified week, you could save it for a later pack, maybe the pack in the middle of like the next area, or just like a difficult pack that you have coming up. But you do want to kind of time it correctly so that you have it at the very beginning of the last boss. So there you can see our Hex and our Shackle Undead went out. I went ahead and I paralyzed that new mob. We made sure our Hunter retrapped the one that they already trapped. And we're just going to keep on attacking the boss. And when this next AoE damage phase comes out where, you know, they suck the aids out of us, it should kill itself. So just avoid the gold. Make sure that we're getting in here, get close, and let it die. Now, this next part is sometimes the hardest part of the dungeons for some people, is just getting down this stairway without getting hit by fire. So just kind of play it safe. As the tank, once you get down here, try to pull these mobs away from the fire. You can see I use my Ring of Peace to knock them this way. And then once everyone's down here, make sure everyone gets grouped up together. These augurs, if everyone is in melee together, they will not cast. If there's a single person that's not in melee, though, they'll start casting again. So by everyone being in melee, they won't cast, they won't do their fiery enchant, and you can just kind of just chill and just DPS things down. If you're comfortable with it, you can pull in the Sard pack and the Screamer that's behind me, but we just kind of choose to do that after this one's dead. One also thing to note as you're coming down here, sometimes people get the debuff on the boss right before they come downstairs, so just make sure that if anyone has that they're careful. Now this pack can be kind of dangerous because there's two groups of Sards, so we have our Shaman throw down his Stone Skin Totem, and we have people just ready to use defensives. But we are going to take care of each of these Sky Screamers, and I am going to pull in the third one here, so that's just the one that's like spawned by the Sards, the next Sard pack, and then both Sky Screamers that are on top of these like little pillar things to the left and right here. So all three, each Sky Screamer only takes one melee kick, and you can use things like stuns, rings, paralyzes. Those things will not cause it to instantly recast. It counts as a kick for it basically, and it won't go again for another kick duration. So as long as you have 3 melee kicks or 2 melee kicks and 2 range can cover one. Just by alternating, and it works out pretty nice. Now this is a new pool that I've added into our routes that we didn't used to do. So the priority mobs here are going to be the dinosaur that does the AoE thrash ability, followed by the mob marked with star, which is the one that does like the quick shot, and he does this cast. It does just require 1 melee cast, but as you can see, this AoE stomp that's going on is really deadly, so you want to make sure you're killing that first. Now the other thing to note is that the other dinosaur will do a charge, and it's always on you. So after he charges out, you kind of want to like reposition yourself, get close, and then turn away from the rest of the group so that he's always going to charge out of the group, but obviously not into like another group of mobs that it's going to pull. So you can see, and every time it picks you, like mine does, like the weak aura that we have for the dungeon pack just tells me like, hey, charges on me, and then I can instantly move. As soon as you see that, it's already picked you, it's not going to move, like, you know, obviously besides the charge, and then you can turn. So once that is dead, we can go ahead and finish off the rest of this. Once the caster that does the quick shot, they don't really move. So once it's dead, I'm going to wait for this last mob to do one more charge, and when it charges, I'm going to go into the next pack, because as long as we don't have people getting charged, it's not a big deal to deal with it. So we will take this Scry Screamer and the Sards, and if I didn't have this other charge guy here, I probably would pull the next pack too. But because we have the charger, I was kind of worried with it being the first time we pulled it, that we might kind of get into some issues, or we'd have an awkward spawn here on Incorporeal like we did. So I just kind of waited. But it is probably safe to pull these together. Again, just make sure that you're pointing the charge away if you still have that guy up. And obviously with the double Sards, be ready to have like defensives going for the rest of your group, so that they're not getting killed by multiple Sards jumping with the two groups there. After this pack, we've got the awkward pack at the bottom of the next set of stairs. And this one has the two casters that if you have two casts go off and they pick the same person, it will kill someone. So this is kind of awkward. We generally try to use 2 kicks and then some type of stop, or maybe we'll like alternate the second kick on one of them and then the other one. But then you also have to deal with these 2 shield people that throw up the shields, and they can only be stopped with stuns and hard CCs. They like things like Ring of Peace and Knock Up will not stop them. So you have to be careful about that. But you also want to watch, because they do the Hex casts, these marked mobs with Star and Diamond, the Witch Doctors. And then also you've got the Pat. You can see our Hunter throw up a flare for us, but there's a Pat that goes up and down the stairs that is pretty deadly if it goes onto anyone other than you. So you always, as the tank, want to make sure you're closest to like the stairs, so that the Stalkers will come on you. They will put a poison bleed on you, which actually does do quite a bit of damage at this high of a key level. So definitely be ready to dispel yourself, because that's gonna definitely hurt. But once the casters are dead, it's not a big deal. Just focus down the shield guardians here, and once those are dead, you can pull the Stalkers up the stairs and into the next pack. Now, some people will choose to skip the next pack and pull something else. The problem with that is that if you skip it, like you can skip by paralyzing, ringing away, and using Mind Soothe. But if you do that during the boss, you have to be very careful how far you go close to the gate, because the group will pull through the gate. So knowing that it's Tyrannical and we kind of are going to need all the room in there, we've chosen to pull this pack. Once again, we choose to kill the Witch Doctors first, because dealing with casts plus having the poison go off if you kill the totem is kind of a lot to deal with. So we're just going to nuke down one or both of these Witch Doctors, and once that is dead, we'll try to time the totem. You can see the totem died a little bit faster, but that's okay. We'll time this, and then we will deal with this last guy, the Honor Guard, that does the poison, without the Witch Doctors casting on us, because you can see like each tick of this poison is doing quite a bit of damage. So having cast go off with that, especially as you kind of want to kite this guy around, it can be dangerous. It's also the reason why we choose not to go, one of the reasons we choose not to go on this other side, and we choose to go to Priestess Olin first. Now, I go around and I mark each of these totems for our people in the group, while our healer is getting mana before the boss. And the things you just want to be careful with on this boss, we do not want to use pots, because you want to have them up for the last boss, since there's no more trash after this. And you want to be ready to not lust, but when... So don't use lust, save that if it comes up. But you want to be ready to kick this mob, so make sure everyone's got it set focused after it jumps. Because after it jumps, that's normally when it will do its cast, and if it gets channels for too long at this high of a level on Tyrannical, it is going to be super deadly. So we've pre-assigned me to dispel our shaman, and our priest is always going to dispel themselves. That way, those are the 2 people who take the most damage in our group, and so that way the disease isn't destroying them. So taking the disease dispel as a Brewmaster here is important, not only for that poison we talked about on the Stalkers 2 pulls ahead of this, but also for this boss. Now, unfortunately, we got a little rambunctious here, and we killed our purple totem before the other 2s were anywhere close. Luckily, our warrior made out a good call of us to stop on the other 2, and luckily we didn't get too many dots on green, and just had us all switch back to purple and get it low. And so this is something that easily could have caused a wipe and caused us to just fail this key if we would have tried to get green, and then green went up, and then we had green and purple. It could have been a whole big deal. So if that happens, just breathe, take a moment, start to get them low, get them all even again. You know, this boss doesn't do a whole lot of damage. If you have this happen more than once, obviously that's not great, especially for like healer mana, but it is something that you can kind of save. So you can see we did get the totems down, and now once this happens, we are going to blow cooldowns here, but again, we're not going to blow our pots, and you can see Lust is about to come back up. We're not going to blow Lust. So general idea with this boss is you're just going to kind of slowly kite it on the triangle that you see on the ground. Ideally, you actually want to be more on like the gold to my left, but I'm kind of more inside than I should be. I was kind of thinking about the fact, like, as if doing this as if we didn't pull the pack that's outside the gate, but we pulled the pack, and then I can remember that's why I pull it out onto this gold now. But generally, you just want to slowly kite backwards, making sure to kick and then be ready to dispel whoever needs, you know, the dispel in your group here, and just kind of just slowly kite backwards, work your way around. Help out your healer by, you know, I throw out some chi waves whenever the disease comes out. I make sure to use like cell brew on myself anytime anytime I have it up and the disease is about to come out. That's where, you know, people take the most damage. The rest of the time, there's not really a whole lot going out here, so just help your healer out. If you need to stop and throw out a Vivify if someone gets low, please do, because like the worst thing you could have is someone die just because like they got low and then, you know, the disease goes off. So, you know, you can, as the tank, can stand poison for a second if you need to. That's definitely safer than, you know, one of your DPS dying from the disease. And then obviously with it being Corporal week, make sure that you're helping out with the Incorporeal. This one's not too bad. Normally our Hunter is one of the persons who like handles Incorporeal for us. And sometimes if the hitboxes are too big, it will cause it like to trap the boss instead of the ad, which obviously bosses don't get trapped, but it does proc the trap, which kind of sucks. So obviously just help out with the Incorporeals with it being Incorporeal week, and, you know, keep on kiting around. Now, as you can see, we're here. We're about to kill this boss. We've got, like, by the time we kill this, we'll have 8 minutes to get up the stairs and then deal with our final boss. The final boss is the real test of this dungeon. Everything up to here, it's one of the reasons that I both like and hate Atal, is the final boss makes or breaks the dungeon. You'll pretty much will have not a whole lot of issues, maybe some issues here or there, but whether you time the key is going to come down to our final boss. So, first things first, please be careful. Respect the spiders as you go up these stairs. As a tank, you can take one. Don't take one, though, like, unless it's an accident. But if you hit two, you will die. You don't want to die here. Don't waste any of your deaths. Don't add any time to your, or, you know, remove any time from your timer. That's definitely not something you want to do, okay? Secondly, when I get up here, generally, our priest needs to get some mana, even though, because, like, they don't, like, fully regen. So as soon as I get up here, you're going to notice, and unfortunately our priest died from a spider, but one of the things you'll notice, because our shaman's going to res, I'm going to go around, and each of the corners, I'm going to use one of the markers to put down, like, just so that we can audibly call where people are going to go for the soul runs. So you can see right here, I'm putting purple, I'm putting down square, I'm putting down X, putting down a skull in the cubby. I've got triangle over there, and then sometimes we'll use the stairs up there, and so I'm going to put a mark up there too. That's just something you can do real quick, especially if you have the time. We've got 7 minutes, more than enough time. So as soon as you pull, you're going to just kind of pull them out just a little bit. Lust, pop all your potions, cooldowns, do your ramp, all that kind of good stuff. And as soon as the stack comes out for this soul rend, have the first people go over to Skull. And now the soul rend actually is not counted as AoE damage. It's counted as individual, so you do need to have people use defensives. You as a tank, you're perfectly fine. Just be ready as a Brewmaster, be ready to like ring a piece the mobs that are coming in if they get too close. But after they're done with it, they'll kind of come over to this corner, and you'll notice I'll just kind of slowly kite, kind of like we were doing with the last boss, but we're just slowly kiting, be ready to CC, and we kind of just chill in this corner until the next soul run's coming. Now, if spiders get too bad, you can keep on kiting. We choose to kind of leave the boss in this corner, and then the next stack will go to the corner behind me. So this soul run, they're going to that corner behind me that I marked in triangle, and I'm just going to kind of pull the boss this direction and then pull him into the middle of the room. This is normally where I have to use my ring because the ads are closer, and so just be careful of spiders. Pull boss back, and you'll notice a lot too during this boss when the like individual casts that used to be kickable would go out. If it goes on someone like our priest or our shaman who has, you know, less defensives, or if I think they're about to die because Soul Rend's about to come out, I will stop what I'm doing and vivify them, because that can save their life. But you can notice we're going to pull over to this next corner here, and then they're going to run down to this corner or to the cubby, whatever works better. And I just kind of pull back to the middle of the room while they're doing that. You can see that a stun totem went out on the ads, and they're making sure to get down the ads. Now, Racking Pandy again, you can see I just vivified on the priest to make sure that he had some more health, because that was not good there. He was pretty low, and we're just still cutting around. Now, the skewer on you, generally as a monk, we don't have an issue with the skewer on us. You can use Cell Brew on it. It's probably the best thing to use Cell Brew on. You can use Dampen Harm if you want it. But a lot of times our mastery itself, just by doing Blackout Kick and doing our normal rotation, will make it so that we either dodge the skewer, or our stagger, it will just be more enough that the stagger, like the skewer, doesn't actually hurt that much. So, again, we just kind of rinse and repeat from this point. You'll notice there do get to be more and more spiders. So again, that corner, whatever reason, seems to be more of a hassle. So I normally save Ring there. You can see I used it again. I just throw a Vivify on our priest again. And now, once we get back to this corner over here in the back left where we got marked with square, you can see there's lots and lots of spiders. So when they go to do the next Soul Rend, a lot of times this is the point where I might use Diffuse, and then I'll roll over a bunch of spiders. Normally Diffuse, because it does magic damage, will give you a 60% damage reduction, right? So you are safe to pop Diffuse and then roll. So you can see I just did it right there. I took out some spiders to make sure that those spiders aren't going to be coming back. Generally, try to get more. You are safer to roll, because if you try to run through, you're going to take the tick from being in there, but something about how fast you move as roll, you generally don't take the ticks from the circle, or at least you only take one instead of like multiple. So there again, you can see I just popped another defensive, I popped Dampen Harm, and I rolled through that other set of spiders. Again, I'm just trying to clear a little bit, and generally when you roll through these, or clear them as a tank, I just rolled through that one, and it was probably a bad one, because now I just kind of blocked off that area. But generally you want to try to do the rolls in the middle over the spiders, so that the spiders are dead in the middle, and it's not like blocking us. But you can already see to the bottom left, I just turned, but you can see over there in that corner where I first rolled over spiders, those like circles have already despawned, which I actually didn't even realize that they despawned that fast, but hey, it's good to know that they actually despawned pretty fast. Or maybe I just couldn't see them because I wasn't far enough. So they're definitely still there. Just kidding. Ignore everything I just said. But you can see how the spot where I did it, because that's somewhere where we used to go, we kind of had to like get around it. So that is more awkward. Try to make sure that you roll over the spiders in the middle, not where you're going to be. Or if you're going to do it, make it sure it's inside that like gold box and leave the outside to run. So now, because we had to get closer to this corner, they're going to move into the cubby for the stack, and you can see the boss is close to dead. So at this point, just do everything you can to make sure that those ads don't get into the boss. Don't kill yourself to a spider. That'd be really awkward. Don't be afraid to taunt and pull the boss away. The biggest thing here is just that everyone lives, and that the Soul Rend ads don't hit the boss. Otherwise, it'll most likely end up being a wipe. You can see our priest goes down here, but that's okay. Touch of death, boss is dead. So that's the route that we did for Atal on Tyrannical 27. If you have any questions about what I did in this key, the routing, any of the decisions I made, or like things that we do, or maybe you have suggestions for what we could have done better, let us know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it, and I will see you in the next one.